अस्सलाम वालेकुम, वेलकम टू फैसला 2011। आई एम योर होस्ट शहजाद हक। जैसा कि आपको मालूम है कि 6 अक्टूबर को ओंटारियो में इलेक्शन होने जा रहे हैं। उन इलेक्शन से रिलेटेड जो भी पॉलिटिक्स हैं और पॉलिसीज़ हैं उनको हम इस शो में डिस्कस करते हैं। करंट स्टैंडिंग्स ये हैं कि इस वक्त ओंटारियो लेजिस्लेचर में लिबरल्स की 70 सीट्स हैं, कंजर्वेटिव्स की 25 और एनडीपी की 10। इस इलेक्शन में क्या लिबरल पार्टी दोबारा अपनी मेजॉरिटी फॉर्म करती है या कंजर्वेटिव्स इस बारी गवर्नमेंट फॉर्म करते हैं, इनको चीज़ों को डिस्कस करने के लिए आज मेरे साथ मेरे को होस्ट हैं जनाब अली नकवी। अली नकवी एक वेल नोन इमिग्रेशन लॉयर हैं और इन्होंने पिछले इलेक्शंस में एज अ कैंडिडेट पार्टिसिपेट भी किया है। वेलकम टू द शो अली।
थैंक यू वेरी मच शहजाद साहब।
मेरे आज पहले कैंडिडेट जो लिबरल पार्टी की तरफ से हैं वो हैं एमपीपी ब्रैम्पटन वेस्ट के विक ढिलन साहब। विक ढिलन साहब 203 में इलेक्ट हुए, 207 में दोबारा री इलेक्ट हुए और 203 में जब इलेक्ट हुए तो उन्होंने टोनी क्लेमेंट जो मिनिस्टर थे उनको हराया था। इस वक्त विक ढिलन साहब वाइस चेयर फॉर द स्टैंडिंग कमेटी ऑन सोशल पॉलिसी हैं। वेलकम टू TV1 विक।
थैंक यू शहजाद फॉर हैविंग मी हियर।
थैंक यू। और मेरे दूसरी कैंडिडेट जो हैं वो हैं मिसिसागा ईस्ट कुक्सविल से दीपिका डिमरला, जो कि इन्होंने रॉथमैन स्कूल ऑफ बिजनेस से MBA किया है। एज अ सीनियर पॉलिसी एडवाइजर टू मिनिस्टर ऑफ इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट एंड ट्रेड, शी हैज़ बीन फोकसिंग ऑन ब्रिंगिंग जॉब्स टू ओंटारियो। वेलकम टू द शो दीपिका। लेटेस्ट जो से पोल्स आए हैं उसके मुताबिक अली आप बताएंगे कि इस वक्त लेटेस्ट पोल्स क्या आए हैं? और
शहजाद, इप्सोस रीस का जो लेटेस्ट पोल आया है दैट गिव्स अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग डायनामिक्स टू अस। और पहली दफ़ा हम देख रहे हैं सिंस दी campaign has become hot कि liberals have gained their grounds and they have come up several points up. So it's only a 2-point difference. But Deepika, especially for you in Mississauga, East Cooksville, I would suggest that you should concentrate on NDP going up 3 points to 23. What are your comments on that?
Well, my comment is that the only poll that counts is the poll on October 6th. That said, it's really good to see the Ontario Liberal Party gain momentum. And the reason we're gaining momentum is that now the public is starting to slowly pay attention, and as they pay attention and look at the platforms and look at Tim Hudak, they're realizing that maybe he's not such a good idea, and that's what you see in the polls when you see that the Liberals are gaining.
Vikji, we have seen very recently in the federal elections that NDP candidate lost only by 400 votes, and the federal Liberals came number 3 in one of the Brampton ridings. आप क्या समझते हैं कि NDP की जो राइज है वो आपके हल्के में कोई नुमाया रोल प्ले करेगी?
Ali Saab, first of all, that was the federal election. And this is a provincial election, and the issues involved in these two elections are totally different. And as Deepika has mentioned, I find a lot of people are not engaged in politics. So as they approach the election, as we approach the election, people are beginning to pay more attention to the issues, and we're not just encouraged, but it's something that we as Liberals have always hoped that people would see the two sides. You know, it's about policies, right? It's and people are looking at exactly what each leader, each party has to offer, and we have our agenda for a strong economy, better healthcare, and better education, right? Whereas our opponents are telling people they will do everything. They will reduce the taxes and they'll make life all so nice and easy for everybody without cutting any services. To me, frankly, that is, if I can say that's a lie, I would be saying I would be correct. So our opposition has a lot of questions to answer.
So Deepika, typically they say that the campaign doesn't really start till it's fall. After the summer is over, then people start getting engaged. But we're already seeing a lot of ads being put out by both the Liberals and the Conservative parties. Online, there has been all kinds of wars going on. So are the people really engaged, or is it just the parties which are, putting these things out? Well, what are you finding when you're campaigning?
Well, when I'm at the door, I think it would be fair to say that people are just about beginning to get engaged. We've had a spate of elections. We just had one in May. We had a municipal election before that. So I think people just want their summer, but they're also realizing that we're already into the second week of August. So fall isn't that far away. So yeah, it's mixed. People are beginning to engage slowly. And parties have to do what they have to do. We have to work hard, and I think everybody's working hard and getting their message out.
So, just going to the next subject, one of the biggest issues right now is with the economy. We've seen the stock markets going up and down. People are concerned, are we going back into the recession? Is it the second double dip happening? And I was looking at the Conference Board of Canada, and it said amongst all the provinces, Ontario is in the most difficult fiscal position. This is about the budget they're talking about. What have you guys done as a government to make sure that people do have jobs, because that is the real concern?
Right. Actually, on the topic of the economy, we have a really good story to tell. And it all started with the decline, and we have been through a very, very tough recession, and our auto sector took a big hit. In manufacturing, we lost quite a few jobs, and that it was entirely at no one's fault, because the Canadian dollar is so high, and it's something where our hands are tied. But in terms of the jobs, we have done phenomenally well. In the month of June, Ontario outpaced both the U.S. and Canada combined. In the U.S., there were approximately 19,000 jobs created in June, and in Ontario alone, we had 40,000. And it didn't just happen, it wasn't a coincidence. It was through prudent policies of Dalton McGuinty and our government by, for example, investing in the auto sector. Our opposition was telling us that it's a handout, it's corporate welfare. But we invested in the big three automakers, and I'm happy to report that the loans have been paid back, and we made the right choice. And as a result, for example, in Brampton, it's wonderful news. Chrysler all three shifts are operating. Had we not done that, the grass on that property would have been knee high, and we would have had a lot of people out of good paying jobs that not only are one single jobs for one person, but they're the type of jobs that support 2 or 3 other jobs. So, it's a trickle-down effect. We've got a great story in terms of the economy. We're doing very, very well. And that's all through, like I said, good fiscal financial planning. And there have been stories, as we were discussing pre-broadcast, the stock market goes up and down, but, those are, I guess, factors which really sometimes I don't feel are real. Sometimes I feel I don't know much about the stock market in terms of the intricacies, but it depends on the mood, and sometimes a government leader makes some statement, and that trickles down to the stock market, and people get jittery and get out of the stock market, or in some cases get into the stock market. So I think we've been pretty steady. I remember the TSE at the 7,000 mark, and we've come a long way. So we have a great story to tell. People are, finding work, and the other thing is, for example, the people who have lost work, right? Our second career program. I mean, I can't tell you how happy it makes me to see someone who's lost a good paying job, then through our government has taken advantage of the second career program. These are futuristic policies, and precedent setting, and and again, this is all not just a coincidence and happen to be. It's because of the policies of our government.
But if the economy does go into a recession again, as they're saying in states, it might happen. As a senior policy advisor, Deepika, what's your take? Would we still have these jobs, or would these jobs go away, or what's going to happen?
Well, if you just step back a little, the root cause of all the problems we're seeing in the U.S. is way too much debt, because they were just not willing to make the difficult decisions that we need to make. And when Tim Hudak keeps saying he's going to cut taxes, I only have one question for him. If you're going to cut taxes, but you're also saying you're not going to cut services, the only way, if your income's going down, but your standard of living stays the same, the only way you can do that is to increase debt. We've seen what increasing debt has done to the U.S. Is this what you want? So Tim Hudak has a lot of explaining to do, because that's the easy route to say, well, I'm going to cut your taxes, but I'm going to keep your services the same. Well, the only way you can do that is to borrow, and we've seen what borrowing does. So you know what? The liberals have a really great approach. We don't want to overtax you, just about the right, just enough so we can maintain our social services, because that is required. Enough cushion that if there is a recession, the government can keep spending to keep the economy going. And I think we've got some solid policies in the way of Green Energy Act, Second Career that Vic Dillon mentioned, all of these that are going to make sure that Ontario continues to hum along. The reality is that Ontario has a very diversified economy. We are so advanced in so many things, sometimes we are not aware of it. We are doing so well in advanced manufacturing, in the ICT sector, in the jobs of the future, and this is going to keep Ontario going, because I'm just going to leave you with one thought. About 50 years ago, Waterloo was the button capital of the world. When I say buttons, I mean buttons on your clothes. Today, not a single button is probably made in Canada. It's probably all made in China. But Waterloo didn't stop. Today, it's the rims, it's the BlackBerries of the world, it's the capital of the ICT. So Ontario has always reinvented itself. The Premier always talks about how Ontario has, we've always worked hard to be where we are, and we'll continue to do that. So I have a lot of faith in our ability to reinvent ourselves and keep going, as long as we make sound policy decisions.
The stock market does not directly affect people, but the HST does. Every door you will knock, they will talk about HST.
Yeah,
it's direct taxation. It's hurting people. People are complaining. Is there a convincing answer? Why HST? Why now?
First of all, it's not a new tax, which the opposition might lead you to believe that it's a new tax. Okay, it's a tax package. Along with the introduction of the HST, we have reduced people's income taxes on the very same day that the HST came into effect. We have given people a $1,000 rebate on a one-time payment. And what the HST, what it's all
Mr.
about
Dillon,
is jobs. It's about jobs. It's about creating jobs.
I'll be paying HST all my life. I got a $1,000 check.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
But what about the future? What about your children? They'll have jobs. Okay, the HST is meant to create jobs. The whole world, except for the United States, has a similar taxation system as we have now. So we got continuous complaints from business that your tax structure is killing us. It's costing us millions of extra dollars. We have to have 2 tax departments, and it's just choking us. And a lot of businesses, big business, have turned down Ontario as a destination because of our taxation system. Okay, I'm very happy to report, since we have had this new tax change, right? It's a tax change. It's not a new tax. We have had interest expressed, as Deepika may tell you, from a lot of companies, and a lot of companies have made that decision to come into Ontario to invest, because it's all about the jobs. If your kids, the future, if we don't have well-paying jobs, we're not going to have a good province, because people, if you have jobs, people are able to pay their fair share of taxes, and so we can have the services that we need, such as healthcare and education and good roads, and on and on and on. So it's not a matter of a new tax, which I think the opposition is touting, which I think is very, very unfair. And I challenge them: will they repeal the HST if they come into power? None of them have. In fact, they're giving people this $10, $15 bribe that will take this off your gas bill or something, right? When we talk to people, when we talk to people,
all for HST then, and today he's,
but we challenge them. I challenge both parties. Will you repeal the tax? And their answer has been no. So they can't talk out of both sides of their mouth. What they are doing is saying, okay, well, we'll take the HST portion off your hydro bill, which is about $15 a month on the average household. Well, my question is, where are you going to cut? right? When I talk to people, when I knock on doors, what I hear is, I want my services. I want my services. And I firmly believe that we have the plan to provide people those services which they so desperately rely on.
So Vic, I mean, you said there's a lot of benefits to having HST, but the ordinary person is still, if you ask them, they're still against the tax. So is it really that the government hasn't been able to articulate what the benefits of the tax were?
People are not convinced.
Yeah.
Let me answer that. Something like the HST, first of all, it's all advanced economies have the HST because it's one single tax system. Instead of having multiple jurisdictions collecting the tax, it's one single tax, and every advanced jurisdiction has it. And the proof is in the pudding that all of them have seen a multiplier effect and more jobs. In terms of one's experience, it usually takes about a full annual cycle for both businesses to see the positive impact, because that's when you start seeing a greater refund. It also takes a little while for the economy to react and for the new jobs to be created. So I think over the short term, we have provided Ontarians with relief so that there can be smooth transition. And going into year 2 and 3, as you mentioned, yes, you'll still be paying the HST, but you will also then begin to see the fruits of the HST. The tax package of the HST, the projections are 600,000 new jobs. Wouldn't you rather have 600,000 new jobs if it just means a little bit of short-term pain? If that means that your kids can have the kind of jobs they want, or would you want, okay, so you have the old system and no jobs. So it's a very simple choice.
One major, I just want to add something which is very important. Corporate world in Canada is very happy with the new tax structure because we're saving them money.
So are the unions, but the people are not.
Okay, well, it's a long term. Like I said, it's a long term policy, and the benefits will come, and we have seen a reduction in prices because the savings that the corporations are incurring are being passed down, and they have in fact given our government an indicator that this is what they intend to do. We're having a lot of HST sales because the new tax structure allows them to have it, and at the end of the day, people are paying less. And they will be paying less in the next, in the coming years, as this whole system, it's a it's a huge undertaking, okay? And you know what? It's very easy to make the popular decision, right? But we're fortunate that we have a premier like Dalton McGuinty who makes the right decision. This is about our kids. This is about our grandkids. And if we don't take these decisions, I think we're looking through pink-colored glasses, and we're not being honest with ourselves.
Okay, on that note, let's take a short break and we'll be right back.